Today we welcome into the studio Harrison Ambs, and he is with Vectra Digital. Welcome in.
Hi, Jennifer. Nice to be here.
It's
Excited.
fabulous to have you.
Oh, thank you.
So what does Vectra Digital actually do?
Oh, that's a great question. Really what we do is we generate value for SMBs through digital marketing.
SMBs are?
Small and medium-sized businesses. Through digital marketing strategies. So think advertising on Google, Facebook, TikTok, Yelp, things like that. Trying to show up organically higher on Google, trying to reach out to more of their customers via email, text messaging, revamping their website, things like that.
Okay.
What we try and do is, at the end of the day, generate more business than we cost is the best way to think of it.
That makes complete sense.
I hope so. Yeah.
I'm sure it does to our listeners, because most of our listeners are small businesses, and they're living and breathing this every day. How can I get more of this? How can I get more? So most of us understand that, but for those that don't, what is digital marketing and what does it all include? You just mentioned Google and Facebook. Besides that, what other?
Yeah, that's a great question. The best way to think about digital marketing is when people think of marketing, traditional marketing, they think of like the show Mad Men, right? Like guys on Madison Avenue in like the 50s and 60s. Yeah, they figured all this out. It's right message, right person, right time. What you can do with digital marketing now is you can measure that. See, before it was just all about messaging and looking at sales 3 months down the road. But now we can see live fire. If we're running an ad with a puppy versus a baby, what does that look like? What's the engagement of it? How many clicks, impressions, leads, sales do we get out of that kind of stuff? So digital marketing is really a way to message your value to your customer base, primarily through screens. So TV, phone, computer, laptop, things like that. But really, it's about getting the data back to make smarter, more intelligent, and more valuable decisions based on what's going on.
It makes sense because, back in the day, it was all the digital that we had was TV.
Yeah.
We could do TV and radio.
Yep.
That was it.
That was really it. Yeah. And billboards. That's really it.
Billboards. And the younger set's probably going, what is a billboard?
It's that thing that you're ignoring in the car while you're staring at your phone.
Because people typically don't even pay attention to those anymore. But it's definitely obviously come a long way in even the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like there's so much noise out there. How can a small or mid-sized business use digital marketing to grow their business? And I know a lot of it's going to come back to using that data.
Yeah. It's going to come down to what their business is like and things like that. The best way to do is to kind of think about your business. Are you the type of business where your customers have to find what you offer, or are you the kind of business where you have to take your message to them? So a great example of this would be like, let's say a roofing company. If my roof is leaking, I'm going on Google to find a company that can repair roofs. I don't sit around during my day thinking about the fun I'm going to have looking for roofing companies on Saturday. But like last weekend, I had to get new walking shoes because we have Disney passes for the kids. So we're going up all the time. Yeah. By the way, the reason you get Disney passes is so you can leave in the middle of the day and feel great about it. That is a high I'm going to be chasing for the rest of my year. It's the best. Anyway.
I only go to Disney for the Mickey ice cream. But now you can buy those. So
where? Like
Target.
Are you serious?
Target has, I think they even have them at Publix. The Mickey ear ice creams. They're probably not the same. They probably taste different. They're not as big. I don't know.
Maybe because that's how they got to get you back in the parks, right?
Exactly.
They're gonna be like, if you can just have the experience at home, why bother?
Exactly.
No, I got you. Yeah. So when you're thinking about how to approach digital marketing, it's best to break down your business on one of those two levels. Do people try and find what you do, or do you have to take your message to them? And depending on what you go with, that is going to be the strategy that you take. Because if people are trying to find you, pretty much people go online and they look on Google, Bing. Now with AI tools, they do that too. They're looking for answers. They're looking for solutions. They're looking for what you offer.
Is that more of a service-based business?
In some cases, yeah. But in some cases, no. Because a lot of times you'll have a service like if you're an accounting firm, you want to take your message to your customer to try and get them to switch to you, or IT or something like that. So for the most part, I would say, yeah, pretty much services might be looking for more Google ads, SEO, search engine optimization, things like that. Whereas with somebody who's trying to take their message to their customer, like last week I had to buy, like I mentioned, we're going to Disney now. I wore out my old running shoes. I had to get new walking shoes now. Well, I don't know where to go for that. And so ideally, any brand that's looking to target somebody like me, they're going to want to make their brand available to me. Hey, try out these shoes, try out these shoes. This is what you're looking for, stuff like that.
Right.
So if your message and your marketing is more about finding your customer, then you're going to want to do things more around social advertising, more impression-based marketing, YouTube, things like that, where you're marketing out to people as opposed to trying to catch them when they come through.
Got it. I know as a retail business, we have used the Facebook marketing and all of that. And we're searching for that customer.
Ah, yes.
They're not necessarily, they may know, oh, I want this Louis Vuitton bag. And they're going to Google and then they're going to research whoever comes up.
Yes.
But they're going to more so use Google Shopping.
Yeah.
Than they are. I mean, I would. I don't know if the regular, if the regular public would, but as a business owner of a resale store, I would go to the shopping tab.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know if most people would do that.
Well, I mean, you can look at where your sales are coming from and try and identify trends and things like that. You can also basically, like, specifically talking about your business, for example, the one thing I would want to do is I'd want to run a digital marketing campaign that hits 3 specific channels. One would be Google Shopping. The other one would be taking my message to the audience on the advertising platform, specifically, depending on your audience, which I don't know anything about, would either be Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. And then the third component would be an influencer campaign. Now, the reason why I want to break these up into 3 pieces is because what I'm looking for is me as the chief strategy officer of Vectra Digital. My role in the company, my job exists in large companies. Like, to have somebody like me full time. Think Fortune 500, publicly traded companies. My role is to sit down with a business owner and take their vision and provide them clarity so they can make the best executive level decision they can for their company. I never tell a client what to do. My job is to bring information to the client, be able to tell them, look, you have option A, B, and C. Here's the pros and cons of each. Which way do you want to go with it? Because I know marketing is only a small, maybe not small, but a component of their broader business. And I have to respect that. I don't do anything in operations. I don't do anything in billing, finance, hiring, any of that stuff, right? They're the captain of the ship. I'm down in the engine room. What I want to make sure is the only information that they need to see is what they need to know on where to go with the ship, right? The reason I want to break those up into 3 different components is because the thing I'm looking for is something called cost per customer acquisition. Basically, what that is if we put $500, $5,000, $50,000 into each one of these 3 platforms, how cheap can we get that customer back? Because I don't know about you, I think Zuckerberg's rich enough. So I don't think we have to go around. I know. Yeah. I don't think we have to go around financing his next house. So let's try and get more out of these platforms than we put in. And so that's why I want to break those up in those 3 things. It allows us to take our messaging to our customer, because the one challenge with digital marketing these days is there's a bunch of different technical terms for it, but basically it used to be people only listen to the radio, and then became people watch TV and listen to the radio. Well, now you have a phone, a tablet, a laptop, a screen, podcasts, TV, still have radio.
Noisy.
Yeah, it's very noisy. There's a lot of different ways and avenues to get to your customer. And the main issue is there's only so much time in the day when you can. So by breaking up in those 3 audiences and those 3 avenues, we can best target the same audience and figure out, okay, what's the best way, or maybe it's a mix of it, that brings our total cost of customer acquisition down. So that way, when we're looking at the return on investment, it's as maximized as it can be. And this way, it allows us to A/B test things and run things side by side.
And A/B testing, let's tell our audience what that is.
That's a great question. Yeah. So you never want to run. So let's say we're running a campaign. Let's say we're running a campaign for you for that Louis Vuitton bag. You never want to run one thing. You want to run one thing against the other to see what's better. So we call that an A/B test. And we only test one thing out of everything. So if you can picture an ad that you see on Facebook, there is an image, there is text, there's a link with a button on it that has shop now, buy now, whatever. So when we A/B test it, what we want to do is go, okay, do people respond more when we tell them buy today versus buy now? Seems pedantic, but you'd be surprised, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So you want to test those side by side and see what goes on. And then from the winner, you have that winner, you test something else. Okay, what if we did a shot of just the bag versus a lifestyle shot of somebody with the bag? What if it was a woman and a man on a date? What if it was a woman fishing out, a big handful of goldfish crackers for her toddler? Like, I don't know. Like, what's going to respond to your audience? And you do that by testing these things side by side.
And something about A/B testing, when we have done that, I was I guess I wasn't, but I was. They responded better when there was a person in the picture than when it was just a product.
Yeah. Yeah. Those kind of things, I like to call them self-inserts, because what they're seeing is your audience is seeing themselves in the photo, and they identify with that. I want that. I want to be that person.
You're selling an emotion.
Yeah. Like for me, it's, for me, the one that really gets me is the Matthew McConaughey car commercials.
Oh, yes. Lincoln?
Seeing in the Lincoln, I'm like, I have an Audi and I'm looking at that going, man, I should have bought a Lincoln. I can't believe this is working on me. This guy.
Because historically, I mean, the younger set typically never bought a Lincoln until he started in, and I can't tell you how many of my friends have a Lincoln and they have young families. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's weird, right? And you think like it's Matthew McConaughey of all people, like, this is Mr. Yeah. Like I'm going to be, or all right.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's not the younger kids. Like my daughter's 18 and we're looking for a car for her because she's at college and no way. I would never drive a Lincoln. Like that age group, not happening, but parents, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
I'm actually surprised that she's going for a car being 18. Like so many people I know that are around that age. Like I'm thinking about like my younger cousins and everything. Out of like maybe 6 of them, maybe 1 has their driver's license. The rest just don't.
And I find that interesting too. But she is going to a college for architecture, and she's there all summer, and there's no transit, so she really doesn't have a choice. I want to go back to we were talking about Mark Zuckerberg, so I want to talk about Facebook.
Okay.
Because I know as a small business, a lot of small businesses really rely on Facebook. And I, as a business owner, I embrace it. We advertise on it, but I'm cautious.
Good.
Because when you put all of your proverbial eggs in one basket, at any one point, they can go, well, we don't like your content. We're shutting you down.
Jennifer, I'm so excited that you think that way.
We have to have this conversation because it's happened to a lot of people that I know. Yes. I just got word the other day that they're going to no longer allow Facebook groups to have live selling videos.
That's wild.
But people are running scared, and they're scared to, like, as a resale store, we will not put names of brands. So if it's a Chanel handbag,
you can't.
We would not do that because, and we would not link to anything on our website because
the algorithm is going to pop you for advertising another brand.
Copyright infringement.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're shutting people down. So, I mean, it's a valid concern. So outside, and Facebook is owned by, Instagram and Facebook are together. You may get shut down in one, but not the other. Should we be looking at, I mean, I've not embraced TikTok.
Okay. Why not?
I don't know. I feel like you can maybe be on 2 or 3 platforms really, really well. And after that, it just becomes unmanageable. You can't be great on all of them.
That's fair.
Which I also have another question, but I'm going to write this down so I don't forget. And it's about content.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. So specifically about Facebook, Meta, any of these social platforms, when you're doing that, you want to be cautious on it. And the main reason why is because anybody that's doing this kind of thing, I'm going to look right at the camera. So that way, if you are advertising on social, that's not your audience. Okay. That's their audience. That's why they charge you for access to it. Right. Your strategy, whatever you come up with, you have to come up with a plan to make that audience your audience as much as possible. So you got to get them on your website. You got to get them signing up for your email list. You got to get them signing up for really your email list is the best way to go about it. Text message channel. You want to get their contact information. You want to control that because if you do, that means it's your audience and then you can market to them how you want because you bring up a great point. That actually happened too. So I work with Vectra, started a technology company in 2008 called Stickboy. It is called Stickboy. I am not Stickboy. I want to start that right now with 2 other people. So basically, one of our clients on there was a social media app for hunters and outdoors people. So you're thinking people that go hunt, fish, all that stuff. What do they all do? They hold up their catch, right? Well, Facebook's algorithm started popping all these people because they're like, well, you can't have a dead animal on it. You can't have a gun on it. And when I'm talking to this client and he's talking to me about the social media platform he wants to start, he's like, it's fair. I don't want like somebody who doesn't want to see this. Like it's totally valid. But to your point, like they're not doing anything malicious. They're holding up a dead trout. But because the algorithm that's built into it, it's the way I always describe it is it's very clever, but it's very dumb. It doesn't have context like we do. Like you putting up an ad for a Louis Vuitton bag, you're not trying to steal Louis Vuitton's business.
Right.
And so a human would see that and understand that, but an algorithm wouldn't. And it's going to go, well, I'd rather be more cautious than less, because I don't want Louis Vuitton to come in and sue me because my algorithm didn't catch you.
Right. Yeah. Moral of the story is, don't just rely on one single place to advertise.
Spread it out.
It makes complete sense. Is your closet overflowing? Or maybe your kids' closets are as well. Or maybe you just want to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas, or even ship it to them for free. All you have to do is bring your items in and then sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com, come in at our store, or check them out on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. All right, friends, we are back in the studio with Harrison Ambs, and he is with Vectra Digital. We're talking about digital marketing today. And it's been a very interesting conversation so far.
Oh, thank you for telling me that. Because I'm sitting here looking at the clock going, I really hope I'm not wasting your
No. Oh my gosh. I think our audience is going to get great content from this, and talking about content.
Yes.
Okay. So I remember back in the day when Facebook and everything started coming out, they're like, you can't post the same thing on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. It's just, you should not. What are your thoughts on that?
No, you can post the same thing, just not the same way. You got to think, when your audience is on Facebook versus Instagram versus TikTok, you got to think about the kind of content your ad is going to be sitting within, if that makes sense. So for example, Super Bowl's coming up, right? And everybody that's advertising around the Super Bowl, they're going to be advertising around football. I just remembered that we were
all good.
Okay. Do you want me to keep going? I can come up with another analogy.
No, that's fabulous, because the Super Bowl is perfect.
Okay.
It's a perfect example.
Okay, perfect. So you got to think. So when we're talking about advertising on the Super Bowl, everything's going to be themed around football. Like, no one's going to go in the Super Bowl and run an ad talking about like the latest baseball glove or something. The audience isn't interested in that. So when you think about advertising on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and you're thinking about your audience on these platforms, again, it comes down to right message, right person, right time. Right person is important here.
It is.
When your audience is on those platforms, you need to know, what are they looking at outside of my ads? Right? What are the things that they're looking for? And how can I make sure that my ads fit in that of what they're looking for, but stand out enough that it gets them interested in what I'm doing, right? So when you're talking about, hey, you don't want to post the same thing on every single one of these platforms, you totally can. But you got to think, what somebody's looking at on each one of these platforms is going to be different based on what they're hoping to get out of it when they're on there. And we're kind of talking esoteric on here, but a great example of this would be like, one of the things that we found in a lot of our data for one of our clients was people that were going on Facebook skewed a lot older. For one of our clients,
that was going to be a question. 55
up. So what we did is we did some research to find out, okay, when people are skewing older on Facebook, what are they looking at? And for the most part, this is going to sound really kind of basic. It's pictures of their grandkids. So what we did was, when we ran marketing ads on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, we're talking 3 different audiences. TikTok, they were tall form videos, usually with somebody's face on there as much as possible. Very handheld sort of, there's industry terms for it I'm trying to avoid using, but basically we want this to seem like it's almost somebody shooting it themselves,
right?
Not in a studio environment. Instagram, it's more lifestyle kind of shots. And then for Facebook, when we're running these ads, we use pictures of like older generation with babies and things like that, like grandparents with their grandkids, because that was the audience that was on there. That was the audience that they were targeting. That's the reason why they're on that platform.
Right.
And so we want to do is speak to them for that reason. And so when we're talking about digital marketing, this kind of interaction that we're having with our audience, right? So we're talking on Facebook, we're showing elderly people interacting with grandkids. Everybody's having a great time. That kind of thing is only available because we have the data that tells us this is the type of person that's on here. This is the kind of message that they're resonating with. And this is when we want to hit them with it. And so that way, again, it just comes back to, I'm telling you, Madison Avenue in the 50s, they figured it all out. There's right person, right message, right time. And
exactly.
Now we can measure it.
Right. So, and that's a really critical part. You know, you don't want to just be throwing your money away.
No.
And I think a lot of people do that because they are told that you need to be on this platform or this platform. And then they just start spending money. They boost their posts, which, should we talk about that?
Sure.
Should we be boosting our posts?
Sometimes. Okay. I really hate that I don't have any different answers for a lot of these things, but
that's okay. I mean, it's all, again, subjective to what the situation or the ad or what you're trying to do.
So basically the way I look at it is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and whatever new social media platform comes out in 5 years that torpedoes everybody, they all figured out the business model, which is companies want access to this audience and we're willing to pay to do it. So it is pay to play. Full stop, right? Now, it just comes back to the return on investment thing we talked about earlier, which is if I'm going to be giving this platform money, I want to make sure I'm getting more out of it than I put in. So if I'm going to boost something, even if it's $5, $10, $15, like we're talking small dollar bills, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So whatever budget we're going to put into this thing, I want to make sure it leads somewhere that I'm going to get value out of it. So a post that I would boost would be something like signing up for a newsletter or a loyalty program that I have set up, because I know what I'm doing is I'm giving Facebook money to get access to this audience, because what I want to do is I want to take those people off this platform and I want to bring them under my own umbrella.
I love that you said that, because that's so important.
Yes.
You want to, and I don't want to say it like that, but you want to own your audience.
Yes.
You don't want Facebook to own it. And that's one of the only ways to do it.
Yeah. Pay to get them off. Yeah. You want to go in, strip them out, take them out of there and make them your own. Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, fine.
I was like, that's so awesome.
No, you I tend to bloviate. So the fact that you summarized it that well was really good.
Well, we started talking about that earlier, and then you dropped it in, and I just wanted to pull that out a little bit, because I thought, our audience is really gonna get value from that, because a lot of people, we think that everybody knows that, because I do all my own advertising stuff, and that's the business you're in. So you get it, I get it, but a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, and you got to think and they don't have to. Like, that's the thing. There's
a lot of people like you.
Yeah.
And get it for them.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to think there's a million different things they got to do in their business and their day to day. And the idea of going through and figuring out their content calendar and what they need to boost, it's like, look, understand the value of it, understand what the goals are, understand how it fits in your business. But in terms of the execution, find somebody that can do it.
Yeah.
Either delegate it to somebody inside your company you feel confident that can do it. But ultimately, it's one thing. It's one thing I always drill into a lot of our clients, and it's because of my role inside Vectra, is you have to think of it this way. Bob Iger, who is the CEO of Disney, I can guarantee, I don't know much about his day, but I can guarantee you he doesn't walk around the around the office asking people, hey, how many people came to our parks yesterday? How many people streamed the Moana movie on Disney Plus? He's not running around asking those things. That information is coming to him.
Exactly.
And that's what business owners need to understand, is when you're trying to execute and operate these things, you need to set it up in such a way that the right information is coming to you for you to make those decisions on what you need to do. You can validate, you can follow up, you can ask, you can probe, you can confirm, but that should be the exception more than the rule. And a lot of times when people are doing this kind of thing, and the reason I'm sharing a lot of this is because if you understand, look, I understand how a car engine works, but I can't fix anything in my car. I know roughly how it operates, but you open up the lid and I'm like, okay, I don't know what any of these tubes do, but I kind of know how this thing's supposed to work. I put gas, I put the pedal and and it lights up whenever it's mad. So that's all I need to know as a driver, right? Then I take it to a professional and they're the one that digs into it.
Again, it goes back to what I tell my audience all the time is hire for what you're not good at or what you don't like to do.
Yes.
Because you're never going to do it well if you don't like it, or you're not good at it.
Always hire
it.
Yeah, exactly. Hire your weaknesses. Yeah. Absolutely. And then make sure that, but don't think, and it's one thing that I think you do a really great job of, is when you say this kind of thing, you're not outsourcing the responsibility of it. Right? No, you're still responsible for it. You're just bringing in somebody that's much better at it than you. So you need to make sure that they're accountable to you, that you understand what they're doing, and the information that they're giving you is what you need to make sure your business is operating the way you want it to.
Right.
And you do a really good job of clarifying that with people.
I look at it as leveraging the expertise of other people to operate my business.
Oh, absolutely.
It's smart.
It's like, if you want to be effective, it's the only way to do it. And whether it's marketing or accounting or the million other things you need your business to do, you're absolutely right. Like, you're the hub. You're the one that's making sure you're the captain of the ship.
Right.
So you need to make sure that everybody's doing their job.
Exactly.
You're still responsible for everybody doing their job. Just because you hired a company to come in and do your ads doesn't mean, okay, well, it's done now. I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Fix it and forget it.
Yeah.
No, it's not fix it and forget. It's not a crock pot, people. In rounding out our podcast here, I want to talk about the future. of digital marketing.
Yes.
Is there anything that's new on the horizon? Anything that we can put our pulse on right now that could move the needle for us?
Sure. Pullback is going to be, I think, the
what
theme.
Is it?
Pullback, pulling back. I'll explain it in a minute. Pullback, I think, is going to be the theme of 2024. We saw a lot of expansion over the past 2 to 3 years in digital marketing in 2 specific areas. One was the use of influencers. The other one was the use of AI. What we're seeing now is a latent distrust in the audience. Whenever you have something like this, right, a new technology, a new anything that gets thrown into it, there's always a rapid expansion of whatever it is we're talking about, and then a pullback, right? We saw it with mortgages. We saw it with banking. Any industry, this is just how apparently human beings want to run business is we want to run out and gold rush it as quickly as we can, and then there's a bunch of people walking around with empty shovels. So what I think's happening, or what I think's going to happen over the next few years, and we're already starting to see it now, is a pullback on this. There's going to be a latent distrust of your audience in some of these platforms when it comes to influencer marketing and when it comes to the use of AI. We're seeing AI. Meta is floating a tool that is going to be, I think it might actually be out right now. It's a tag that they're adding to AI generated images.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's imperfect. It uses metadata baked into the image. So if you strip that out and you upload the image, the tool's not going to work. But this is version 0.2. Like this isn't the end of the road for this kind of thing. It's clear Meta's testing things to do this because because people are having an inherent all this AI hit, it went fast, right?
It did.
Everybody had it. And then now there's going to be a pullback on the trust that everybody's going to see on the platform. And when you have that kind of latent distrust, it's bad for the platform. If every time you go on Meta, every time you go on Facebook and Instagram, you distrust what you're looking at because you think it's a fake image, how likely are you going to be staying on the platform to look at the ads that Jennifer's running trying to sell Louis Vuitton bags?
It's the fake news kind of deal.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. I remember them talking about specifically like plastic surgeons and all this cosmetic stuff. And that was one of the reasons perhaps why they started really digging into this, because people were seeing people that looked absolutely stunning and be like, here's your before and after. And they weren't really before and afters. Like that it was just not.
They don't have pores anymore for some reason.
Like just everything is gone.
Yeah.
Porcelain.
They do. They look like they're made out of porcelain. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The other thing is with the influencer thing, there's actually, it's becoming a thing. It's not a major thing right now, but I only think it's going to grow. And that is a sort of, they call it anti-influencing or anti-reviews. So the idea is if you wanted to sell Louis Vuitton bags, you can find some good influencers in the area, drop a few G's and get that product moving really quickly.
Been there, done that. It didn't work.
Yeah. See, a lot of times what's happening is audiences are looking at these influencers, creators and things like that. And they're going, all right, I'm not really trusting what it is that you're doing. So what we're finding is that there is a growing audience of these influencers that pride themselves on, one, they don't take any money for reviewing a product, and 2, they will bash the hell out of this thing if they don't like it. And that's getting a growing audience because, like I said, there's the expansion. Now there's the pullback. So what does that mean for your SMB, right? Like this is cool for a podcast and for me who thinks about this thing all the time. How can someone use this for money? What I would do is, one, anytime someone's coming to you with AI powered anything, go in with like a level of not distrust, but just a cautionary eye. We use AI all the time in our business. We developed our own AI. It's called Vita. I call it my third daughter. It was my brainchild from like 6 years ago. We use it. We've embraced the technology, but we understand its limitations. And so we're very careful on how we apply it. The other thing when it comes to, let's say, marketing influencers is not only do you have to know who your audience is, you have to know who the advocate's going to be and how they're going to talk about it, right? You don't want to handcuff them. You don't want to tell them, oh, this is your script. This is what you want to talk about, because any influencer that agrees to that is going to be low quality and they're going to be cheap. If you want to use the right people, you have to go in trusting that your product is going to resonate not only with this influencer, but with their audience as well. Because you don't want any blowback because this influencer is talking about a product that they don't believe in. And what's going to happen is you're going to get like secondhand embarrassment sort of thing. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So what you're going to want to be is, while we're going through this transition period, as this new stuff hits, it kind of settles back. It's going to settle down into a rhythm that kind of works. Same thing happened with Instagram. Same thing happened with Facebook. Same thing happened with TV, radio, newspapers. It all kind of settles into, okay, this is how you apply this for now. While that kind of settles in, you want to be a little more careful now because audiences are being inherently distrustful. Not distrustful, they're being inherently cautious about what they're seeing.
Mm-hmm. And that makes complete sense.
Oh, I hope so.
It does. Well, it has been a fabulous conversation today, and I'm sure our listeners walked away with a wealth of information. If they would like to contact you, how can our listeners get a hold of you?
The two best ways to do that are to go to our website, vectradigital.com, VECTRA digital.com. Fill out the contact form. Those go to our team. They'll rope me in. The other thing is you can always follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Harrison Ambs. There's a very Photoshop version of my face on there. I don't look like that. When we got the headshots done, the photographer pulled me aside. She's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "It looks great." I don't know who that is, but it looks great. So I'm on LinkedIn, awesome. Talking about this stuff all the time. But yeah, feel free to hit me up there, ask me any questions. More than happy to answer.
Thank you so much for being on today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And thank you, my friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Confident Entrepreneur, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want to take your business to the next level, order my newest book, Grace and Grit, Becoming a Confident Entrepreneur. It's available on Amazon. Also, check out my website at jenniferannjohnson.com to sign up for my emails or connect with me. Have a fabulous day.